Hey wrestling fans, welcome to another episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 144 for Friday, March 11th, 2016. I am your host, Lance Brock, and 360 Wrestling Fanatic is back once again after another pretty long break. Hopefully now I will do more episodes either here on Spreaker or Blog Talk Radio. I know I have the podcast on different websites, Spreaker, Blog Talk Radio, but to find links to every episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic and Clash Wrestling 360, you can check the Facebook for 360 Wrestling Podcasts and also the 360 Wrestling Podcast Facebook group. And you can subscribe to 360 Wrestling Podcasts on iTunes as well. And tonight on the podcast, I will be discussing two pretty big shows that will be taking place tomorrow night. And first, it is XICW Best in Detroit 14, which will take place in Clinton Township at the Imperial House. 7 p.m. bell time, and you are going to want to be at this show. And I don't think there are very many tickets left, so you're going to want to make sure that you get yours for tomorrow night. And at this time, I'm going to run down the card for Best in Detroit 14. The Midwest Heavyweight Championship is on the line as Rhino defends against Tommaso Ciampa. That should be a very good main event right there. Also, Jake Something will be taking on former TNA World Heavyweight Champion Ethan Carter III. EC3. The one-legged wonder Zach Gowen will be taking on Willie Watts in a match for the light heavyweight championship. The tag team championships are on the line as the Monroes defend against Joe Coleman and Idris Abraham with Mark Joka in their corner. Orlando Christopher will be going one-on-one against GQ Gavin Quinn. And I'm pretty sure that is going to be a match that could definitely steal the show right there. Tag team action, the Scarbonis will be taking on the Soul Shooters. Dickie Bronson versus Jeff Brooks. Jay Maynard versus Caleb Stills, and Hakeem Zane will be taking on Jamie Cox. That is all tomorrow night. XICW Best in Detroit 14, live in Clinton Township at the Imperial House. Bell time is 7 p.m. And you are going to want to be at that show. It's going to be great. And on to another show that will be taking place tomorrow night. On the WWE Network, it is Roadblock, live from Toronto. And the card that we know of as of right now, in the main event for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, it is Triple H defending against the Lunatic Fringe, Dean Ambrose, and I'm really not sure about this one. Actually, I really don't see the title changing hands in this match. Either Triple H beats Ambrose or Ambrose wins either disqualification or a countout. But I really don't see Ambrose winning the title, obviously, but you never know. There could always be a surprise tomorrow night at Roadblock. And Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. I'm sure Lesnar will go over, but should be a good match though. WWE Tag Team Championships are on the line as the New Day defends against the League of Nations team of Sheamus and Wade Barrett. The NXT Championships are on the line. Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder taking on Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. So that should be a good match right there. Good solid tag team action. And don't be surprised if there's a title change. That's my prediction in that tag match. And also appearing on Roadblock is Chris Jericho, Paul Heyman, the WWE Divas Champion Charlotte, and the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and Natalya. That is WWE Roadblock tomorrow night, 8 p.m. on the WWE Network, live from Toronto. So if you go to XICW Best in Detroit tomorrow night, then Sunday you can watch Roadblock on demand on the WWE Network. So that is a great weekend of pro wrestling right here. First Saturday night, go and see XICW. Should be a lot of great wrestling action there. And then Sunday on demand, WWE Network, you can watch Roadblock. And to discuss a little bit of news here about Mr. Anderson. It is official. He is gone from TNA. A video is online of him at an indie show where he says he is gone from TNA and he says F TNA. And the latest of that is that he failed a drug test, and one source says Anderson tested positive for pills that he did not have a prescription for and was immediately sent home from the TV tapings in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Multiple sources confirmed that Anderson's behavior seemed odd, and he was out of it. Backstage at the TV tapings, he just wasn't his normal self, the source said. His match with Eric Young was cut short due to the fact that Anderson looked so bad. Eric Young was said to have been livid with TNA management and was yelling at them to do something about the problem. So hopefully more will come out about this story involving Mr. Anderson and TNA. But like I said, it is official that he is gone from the promotion. And also, some exciting news for here in Michigan coming up in May at the Motor City Comic Con in Novi. Because appearing on that show or convention is the Four Horsemen. It is the Nature Boy Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and Barry Windham, and also their manager J.J. Dillon will be with them. So that is one reason now to go to Comic-Con. Probably the only reason, really. Unless they add more wrestlers, but right there go to Comic-Con. You don't have to pay any attention to the comic book stuff or whatever else is there, but go there and meet the Four Horsemen along with J.J. Dillon. That should be great. I'm hoping that I'll be able to make it to the Comic-Con to meet all 5 of them. That'd be pretty awesome. So, that is all for tonight's episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic 144. And like I said earlier, I hope to have more episodes up soon, either here on Spreaker or Blog Talk Radio or who else knows. I don't know. But like I said, to find all the episodes of the podcast, you can like 360 Wrestling Podcast on Facebook and also join the 360 Wrestling Podcast Facebook group and follow on Twitter at 360 Wrestling Pod, Instagram 360 Wrestling Podcast, and you can also like the podcast that is all about the collective league of adrenaline, strength, and honor, Clash Wrestling 360 on Facebook as well. And speaking of Clash 360, I will be back with more episodes of Clash 360 as we get closer to March 26th, Clash to the Future Part 8. I will have more news on that as we get closer. And if you have any questions or comments, the email is lb360wrestlingfanatic@gmail.com. If you have any questions or comments, or if you have any suggestions for my other podcast, 360 TBT, where I go back and look at a past wrestling show. If there's any past wrestling shows you want me to go back and talk about, I will do that. Email your suggestions at lb360wrestlingfanatic@gmail.com. And that is all for tonight. Stay tuned to 360 Wrestling Podcast and Clash Wrestling 360. But until then, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.